I'm Howard Sherman, and as CEO of Good 360, I've got a number of priorities, but there is no priority more important to me than the safety and well-being of my employees and my associates. So because we are a company that is very involved in disaster recovery, it only makes sense that one of the things that we do is we help our own associates prepare themselves and their families and their extended families for disasters, which is exactly why we've brought in Aaron Titus and his incredibly unique and innovative program, How to Prepare for Everything.
The purpose of How to Prepare for Everything is to teach you to be prepared with your family, your friends, your community in a way that does not make you afraid. The premise of How to Prepare for Everything is that we should stop preparing for disasters at all. Instead, we should prepare for the disruptions that they cause. And if you prepare for a few disruptions, you can be prepared for any disaster that comes your way. Preparing is important whether you're preparing for disasters, emergencies, or just life's up and downs. There's not a whole lot of difference between the loss of a spouse or a hurricane. Either one can be equally disruptive to your family and to your community or to your loved ones.
Mostly it gave me the ability to think about a variety of scenarios and what are the common denominators across those scenarios that I can plan for. And in doing so, I don't have to think about every category of disaster, potential challenge we might have as a family, but really how to keep my family safe and in communications during a variety of circumstances.
The workshop was really important for me because it made me realize how I needed to be better prepared in the specific areas where I don't maybe have all of my ducks in a row yet.
This workshop gave me some really specific strategies that I could use and really a checklist of things that I need to do personally, but also ways that I can share them with my family, my friends, my communities.
It was important because I never really thought about what I would do in a disaster. I never really liked to think about that. It kind of put it in the back of my mind, but it really opened my eyes.
It made me think about medication that I need for family members that do have medication. How do I get extra supply? Keeping those things. And then even for real catastrophic disasters, letting other family members aware of health issues, how to treat people in case, God forbid, the people around that can't help the kids aren't here.
Get organized. I would definitely want to get organized to be ready in the case of an emergency.
The first thing I'm going to do is to get to know some of my neighbors that I don't know so well. I do feel like I have a couple neighbors that we talk with quite often just because they have young ones. They're the same age as my daughter. But my neighbor to my left is a widow, and I know she has a dog. So in times of disaster, obviously I want to be as helpful as I can to her because I know her family doesn't live close.
I really need to go around and make sure that I have all of my important documents in one place. That's really important, and kind of like restock on my first aid kits.
One of the challenges with any program such as this is that sometimes the hill just seems too steep, and while you learn a lot and you hear a lot, it just seems like an insurmountable amount of things that you have to actually prepare and do. So to me, this program is about learning, but it's also about learning in such a way that people can activate themselves and prepare a plan and organize a plan and leave here not just being a little bit smarter, but actually leaving here and behaviorally doing something different in terms of the preparation.
How to Prepare for Everything helps you create the power by focusing on the disruptions rather than disasters. We create power. We have very little control over what happens to us. However, we have a great deal of control or power over how we respond to the disruptions that they cause. And by focusing on disruptions rather than disasters, we translate the fear into power.
I think one of the keys to actually having an effective preparedness plan is to find a way to simplify that complexity into actions that truly will make a difference if you're ever in a situation where you have to mobilize. I do think that the program that we experienced today was all about that, which to me makes it incredibly useful and effective. And I think it was amazing that people were engaged. There were an endless amount of questions. There was an endless amount of engagement. And we will follow up and we will continue the dialogue, because I think this is about continuing the dialogue and making sure that people are actually taking action.